top 8 TikTok theories that makes you question reality. Number 1.
Marian year. Within St. Peter's, he has crowned an ancient painting of the Madonna with a jewel-studded crown, and has thus inaugurated the feast of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Queen of Heaven. This new feast will be celebrated every year on May the 31st. The Pope is carried through the massive bronze doorway to the palace, and the crowd, including 40 cardinals and 300 bishops, acclaim him as he appears on the balcony. The crowned painting is held beside His Holiness as he acknowledges the ovation. The ceremony inaugurates a new feast for the Roman Catholic world.
Mr. Speaker, the Pope of the Holy See.
The first pope ever to set foot in the Capitol was greeted with rapturous applause. Like any good guest, he started out with a compliment, saying he was glad to be
in the land of the free, at the home of the brave.
Number 2. Number 3.
I am expecting that you might see very, very significant changes even before the end of the year. And part of the reason why I say that is because of this. Let's go to this for a second. This particular formation appeared in Italy on May 30th of this year. And you can see it there next to the beautiful house. And here it is with some cars in front of it, another house, the same house, I think, maybe a different one, but off to the right there. And then here it is again from farther away. Now, this crop circle was deciphered. You can see it was near Casina del Colle in Brescia, Italy. Now, I guess first of all, I'll tell you that my opinion is that these are not fake. These are not made by humans, or at least not regular humans, and they're not made with any type of conventional technology. Crop circles appear to be created by some type of strange process that manipulates every single grain individually. And when we see the actual crop circles, when we go there and we look at them, we find out, they've got bending growth nodes. Right where one growth node appears, it looks kind of like a ball along the stalk. It will bend, but only there. The stalks themselves are not broken. It's only that they bend at the growth nodes. And then they keep growing after they've been treated this way. So the crops are alive, they're harvestable, you can still eat the wheat, and everything's cool. So when we think about this in terms of, why would somebody want to make these crop formations? What's the objective behind crop circles? To me, it's pretty straightforward. We are seeing a higher intelligence that is communicating to us through the use of symbology. And so in this case, what we're seeing is that there is what looks like a stylized eclipse, and I believe this illustration on the left here, yeah, it does look like what you see on the right, which is these typical illustrations of eclipses. And so, sure enough, there's an eclipse coming, as it says here, on October 14th, 2023, which is now disturbingly close to the present. If you read the Michael prophecies, if you read these books, you will see that there's not only a mention of this in the book, this particular crop circle. I believe it's in book 6, maybe 7. But also, there is a whole new way of looking at this in light of what just happened with this thing with Israel. So here we've got this solar eclipse coming up, and in conventional science, of course, eclipses don't cause any trouble. But in the new science, eclipses are directly correlated with things like the fall of kings, the overthrow of existing rulerships, Very, very dynamic, electrical, unpredictable changes. And even just as I'm going to tape here, and the last thing I read online before I started taping is, Iran is going to support the Palestinians, which basically means now you got Iran against Israel, which starts to sound like a bigger war, and it's going to escalate and escalate. Now, if we lived in an acausal universe where our thoughts did not directly affect reality, that might be true, but we do live in a causal universe. We do have a direct cause and effect relationship between our thoughts and between the manifestations of reality that we then encounter. And so understanding this is a key to sanity, because once you begin realizing the degree to which you live in a spiritual universe, you no longer have to suffer within it. Suffering is actually something that in Buddhism they call Maya, the Mayic delusion. It's also called samsara. And suffering is not necessary. There is an elixir of consciousness that opens to those who seek the universal mind through meditation. And that is what I am proposing that we are going to do today. So when I see this very scary crop circle, and then all of a sudden it's telling me, yeah, you know what, you're going to have some type of big thing going on October 14th, it's a very, very stunning event.
Number 4.
And that means you can't rely on the media as it is today either.
Oh, of course not. All the media in this country, radio, television, and print, is all owned by 5 corporations. All of these corporations that own the media are owned and controlled, and members of the Council on Foreign Relations sit on their board of directors.
Can you name those 5 corporations? Is that...
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I could try, but I don't want to take a chance on being inaccurate. But you can trace that yourself.
Okay.
Remember, if you go down and you trace the ownership of a station or a newspaper, and you get to a corporation, remember that somebody owns that corporation, and it's usually another corporation. But when you trace the interlocking of all these things, when you get to the top, there's 5. And all journalists know that there's some things you don't write about and you don't talk about because you'll lose your job. And that's where the control is. And that's why they pay anchormen like Dan Rather $2 million a year, because he doesn't question them. He knows that if he goes against them, he's going to lose $2 million a year. Do you think a man that looks pretty and sits in front of a TV camera for the 6 o'clock news is worth $2 million a year? No way. I don't care how long he works, and I don't care what he does. There is no job worth $2 million a year. That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets, and they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy who plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. It's sad. It's really sad.
Number 5.
But other people are looking at this world totally different. Bees don't see the world that we see. Certain colors they don't see. They see a total different world. Dogs see a total different world from you. Europeans see a total different world from you. Their eyes are close together. I can see my hand out of the corner of my eyes. Asians are here. White people are here. Their field of vision is narrow. So if you walk over here and walk by them, they won't see you. You stand there and say, they walk right by me, didn't see you. Because you were outside their field of vision. They see a whole different world from you. The arch of their nose is up high, so the world is always divided to them. You see what I'm saying? They see differently. Flowers that see different from bees, bees see different from elephants. We all see a different world. This universal thing you're talking about is not that. It is not that. We see a different world, and the Europeans can never see our world. We have a wider field of vision. You start driving in traffic with these people, you say, what's he driving around like this? They almost hit me. What's wrong with these Asians? Because they have a narrow field of vision. They didn't see you. They didn't see you. That's what the problem is. It's no universal thing here. That's our problem. We see a bigger world than they do. We smell differently from they do. Melanin helps you smell. Melanin makes you taste food differently from Europeans. A black person combines food differently from white people, even if they're using the same recipe, because we taste differently from them. We smell differently from them. We see differently from them. We touch differently from them. That's for us. But don't try to put that on the Europeans. Don't ask a dog to be a rat. Forget that one.
Number 6.
We are paying debt. To who? This is the one question. The one question when they talk about the debt and the need to cut social services and increase your taxes, why are we doing that? Because we're in debt. To who? Who do we owe the money to exactly? Do we ever think about that? Who do we owe the money to? I'll tell you who we owe the money to. The Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the filthy rich banksters that are running this system, that our corrupt prostitute politicians gave the power to these tyrants to do. You all have not worked hard enough. None of you have worked hard enough. None of you working class people out there have worked hard enough. You haven't worked hard enough, and you owe the Rothschilds money. And they're taking away your social services, and they're telling you you need to go fight a war. In Iran now. In Syria. And what do they do with the war? They make money off of us, again. And they send our sons and daughters off to war, to kill innocent people, to rape them, to steal their land. And all the while, with hypocrisy doesn't even begin to explain us talking about freedom and democracy. It is a joke, and it mocks all of us. And the head of the snake is the financial system. And Henry Ford rightly said, it's a good thing that people don't understand the financial system, because if they did, there will probably be a revolution by the morning. And it's true. We owe money to the filthy rich. That's who we're in debt to. They could say, we're going to wipe the debt clean. For me, that wouldn't be enough. Are you kidding me? You think you're going to get off that easy? For hundreds of years, you've been enslaving the people in your debt-driven system. And you think that you're just going to be able to wipe the slate clean and that's going to be it? Hell no. If you don't hang from a lamppost, you should consider yourself lucky for the scam that you have perpetrated on the people. And the thing is that they've got us all by this system. They control the money. It's not even paper to them. They don't even need to print the money. They can simply go into a computer, type in a couple extra zeros in an account, and someone has got money.
Number 7.
Jerusalem, 126 years ago. Jerusalem, today.
Number 8.
Later, the Nintendo GameCube, the XX of the box, the Xbox, Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of the Rings. He's the outermost layer of the Sol system, not solar system. This is why the Bible says Satan, who is the god of this world. Satan is Saturn. The body's made out of carbon, which is 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 666. This is the mark of the beast, the mark of your simulation. Saturn's the computer, the sun is the power system, the moon is the intelligence, the mind, and the earth is the motherboard. Yes, the earth is flat, this is the true cosmology. The symbol for earth is the black sun, the ground, the sun and the moon. Yin and yang is the sun and the moon on the flat plane. All things point to the North Pole. It's a pole of electromagnetic energy. And above the North Pole is Polaris, Link is in the bio for the Book of Wisdom PDF. It gets updated every month with new pages.
Subscribing is free.